You are now tuned into the DFPN, the Dat Feelin' Podcast Network.
Oh my God, this is going to be fun to watch.
This is Wrestling with My Thoughts. Welcome back to Wrestling with My Thoughts here on the DFPN, where we are the wrestling show for the wrestling fan. I am your host, bred like a king, made as Kelvin Cately, and this is my return back, man. I have celebrated my 38th birthday, which everybody seems to think I'm 40 now, so that's fun. You know, they like, oh man, you're almost 40. How do you feel about that? You know what? In the words of my homie, the General, MRK, it is great to be getting older. Getting older is some cool shit. It is some cool shit. You know what I mean? So thank you to everyone for your birthday wishes. Thank you to everyone for your texts, your calls, the posts in the Smoke Pit podcast fan group. Shout out to the Smoke Pit. Shout out to Mac, aka your boy. Shout out to everybody that hit me up, man. I really felt a lot of love. Thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. I needed the love, you know what I'm saying? I really needed to love. So with that being said, man, today I just want to come back. We're going to be talking some great wrestling stuff today, you know what I mean? So over the course of the week, you know, Souljah Boy has been getting into it with rappers. You know what I mean? NXT's moving to Tuesday nights. WWE's moving to Peacock. The network is moving to Peacock. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, but first, let me give a shout out to the sponsors. Shout out to Get the Plugs. Shout out to Nettergold. Shout out to Audio Swim. And shout out to Premier Elements. Go to all of those sites and you will get a great experience no matter where you go. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to be something that we plug here on DFPN. We also have some great merch too. Head over to Teespring, search Dat Feelin' Podcast, copy a few items. This episode will be free over at our Patreon as well. So go to patreon.com/Dat Feelin' Podcast and subscribe. You could join as little as $3 and that will get you some great content. So let's get into the show. You know what I'm saying? You know that the F word, if you're a wrestling fan, the F word is like a forbidden word. There's a 4-letter word that starts with F, and no, it's not fuck. It's fake. You know what I mean? That word in particular holds some very, very heavy consequences. If you are a fan of wrestling, if you know what it is, and you call it fake, there is a trigger for wrestlers and for wrestling fans. There is a trigger, and that 4-letter word is the trigger. You can call it whatever you want to. We had a discussion about it, me and some friends. You can call it whatever you want to. Just don't call that shit fake, man. Don't call it fake. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, Souljah Boy, for all of his irrelevancy, went after the WWE subliminally in a tweet, right? So his tweet was, the rap game is faker than WWE now. You know what I'm saying? And a few wrestlers commented on it, namely Randy Orton. And that was the long drawn out one. But a lot of people said a lot of things about it. You know, Wrestling isn't fake. The injuries are real, which we know. We know that. The injuries are very, very real. People dedicate their lives to getting inside the ring for companies like WWE, now AEW, New Japan, wherever you are, the dream starts somewhere. And you got to be a special type of crazy. Seriously, you have to be a special type of crazy to truly put your heart and soul into this sport, because it requires all of you, all of your body, all of your mental capacity. It requires it. Some of these people have families. They go from town to town. They often drive. They do a show. They're exhausted, but they still go out and they put their bodies on the line for our entertainment. So that word holds a lot of weight. Yes, there is scripted content within that realm. Yes, the matches are predetermined. Yes, we know who's gonna win and who's gonna lose. But in that, there's a story to be told. There's an art form to what they do. So a lot of wrestlers are going to feel that way when you say that the sport is fake. That is not to say that, for instance, Harry Potter. It's always the one thing that comes to mind because they have a lot of dedicated fans, a lot of artwork, people who dress up, they go to Comic-Con, Star Wars too. You know what I'm saying? They do all these, but that movie isn't real. The movie isn't real. It's the story being told. Wrestling is no different. The story being told is what we're drawn to. And good wrestlers can bring you into those stories. They also put their bodies on the line. They are hurt, legitimately hurt. You know what I'm saying? Something as small as, you know what I'm saying, running into the ropes. Those ropes hurt. I can tell you that firsthand. That shit hurts like no other. It hurts. You know what I'm saying? And you do this night in, night out. And if you're in the WWE, you do that shit for like 320 days a year. You know what I'm saying? So Souljah Boy, for all of his blunder, replied to it. You know what I'm saying? And Randy Orton was basically like, look, man, I listen to everybody. I'm a hip hop head, which I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. He's like, I'm a hip hop head. So he started name dropping artists. Like, I listen to Meek. I listen to Jay. You know what I'm saying? I listen to Tunchi. He didn't even call him Lil Wayne. He called him Tunchi. He was like, I listen to Tunchi. And, buddy, you ain't had a hit out since 2007. So, fuck is going on here? You know what I'm saying? What is you searching for? And then Bow Wow jumps in. And Bow Wow is like, yeah, man, that's right. Now, I get it. You want to step into the world of professional wrestling. If that is the case, buddy, you going about it the wrong way. This is not the way you go about it at all. Listen to me and listen carefully. Floyd Mayweather is twice the athlete that either of them will be, and he stepped into that realm. Mind you, he had a good program with the Big Show. And by the time WrestleMania came around, the hype train behind what they were doing was monster. You know what I'm saying? Floyd made himself a heel. Legitimately. Got heat. Did it the right way. Jumped in the ring. Did promos. Got the crowd to hate him. He was good at it. And then he went to WrestleMania. And then he saw what the world was really like. Bro, Big Show's hand is about half the length of Floyd's body. And he slapped Floyd up against the chest. And the legitimate pain on Floyd's face was evident. He was like, I didn't sign up for this shit. No, I didn't know he was going to do that. And then Big Show was like 500 pounds. Walked on him. Pain evident. He wasn't ready. Y'all ain't ready for it. Y'all can say it's fake till you in that bitch and you getting fucked up. Leave that alone. And on that note, we're going to take a break and hear from the sponsors. This episode is brought to you in part by AudioSwim. Go to audioswim.com today and upload your tracks for as little as $5 a track. Premier Element UAE. Go to www.premierelement.com and get your representation. They don't do just music, they do sports as well. And also, Get the Plugs. Go to www.gettheplugs.com. Enter in code INT15 on checkout and you will get a 15% discount. Oh, and you don't have to pay for them up front. They also accept Souljah. Now back to the show. Welcome back to Wrestling with My Thoughts here on the DFPN. Again, I am a host, Blak Makk. And once again, shout out to our sponsors, Premier Element UAE, Get the Plugs, AudioSwim, and NetterGo. They're all Black-owned businesses, so please go and support them in all their endeavors, man. You can't go wrong going to either site, so go shout out them and support them. You know what I'm saying? Follow the movement. Be the movement. You know what I'm saying? But back to the show. NXT just announced that they are moving to Tuesday nights beginning on April 13th. And I think this was a long time coming. It really was. It's a win-win for both them and AEW. Now we get to see the true strength of what AEW can actually pull in, because Wednesday nights is theirs and theirs alone. The WWE Network was supporting NXT on Wednesday nights and they were unopposed for a while, but once AEW went to cable, and that's where a lot of fans get it twisted. NXT was exclusive to the network, and they were going to stay that way with multiple playbacks. Now you don't have those since they moved the USA on Wednesday nights. Now they're going to be moving to Tuesday nights, one more show to follow up Raw, and I think this is good for them. I really do think this is really good for them, because now you get to see what each show can actually bring in. We saw it in stretches where, you know, NXT, when they went unopposed, they had higher numbers. So did AEW. They broke 1 million when they were unopposed, and they were actually in competing range with Raw at points. So now you get to see what each show is really all about, number-wise, in the ratings. And I think this will be a very, very good thing for both shows. And then, if you're a wrestling fan, that's just one more night of wrestling, right? You get one more night, and I think the average wrestling fan was clamoring for this one. You know what I'm saying? So I think this will be great for both companies. And NXT, I'll be flat out honest, NXT a lot of the time has the better wrestling show. It's just that you get into a world of division where you have either AEW fans or NXT fans, and those AEW loyal are going to stick with their guy even when the shows aren't that great. The one thing that does stand out for AEW is that they're not always pushing the same guy. You may have somebody different in the main event all the time. There is no true main event guy. As with NXT, you know Finn Balor's the champion, he's the main event guy. You know what I'm saying? You know who the girls are. You don't necessarily know that in AEW, but that's what makes them different. And different is good a lot of times. It's great. You know what I'm saying? And both sides won't pay attention to the other because, you know, I am a WWE guy. I like my WWE. Or I'm an AEW guy. I like my AEW. Now you get to see the fans pick and choose. Okay, I don't have to pick and choose anymore. I can watch one on one night, the other one on the other night, and if I like both, I'm going to continue to watch both. This is a win-win for both sides, because now you get to see more stars being made. And I think AEW is trying to do a good job at making new stars by having different people featured. And they are also doing a great job working with indie promotions, because NWA went defunct for a while. Now they're coming back, but while they were defunct, a lot of those indie guys were able to work on AEW Dark and be featured. I have a guest coming on the show that was featured on AEW Dark. Shout out to Tyson Maddox, doing wonderful things. You know what I'm saying? He was featured on there. He's an indie guy, but while the work was short for COVID, AEW was bringing those guys in. There's more eyes. Now I want to know who guys like Tyson Maddox are. And now I follow Tyson Maddox in his career. You know what I'm saying? I'm following him and what he's doing. And by the way, he's doing a very good job down in Texas, where a lot of those indie guys can work. He's doing massive things there. So AEW, for whatever you don't like them for, they're doing a lot of great things. So is NXT. And in my opinion, a lot of NXT is good. The wrestling is good. The stories are good. It's when they get called up to the main roster that the shit all falls apart. So you may see NXT emerge as a leading show with its own night. You don't know that. Time remains to be telling of these things. But in my opinion, I think they have a great shot at being the number 2 show on the USA, on out of all the 3 main roster shows, which it ain't even main roster. They still look at it as a developmental. Maybe this move is Vince finally acknowledging that this may be a legitimate third brand. Maybe. But this is not a loss for NXT. It really isn't. It's a win. Because it wasn't going to win Wednesday. Let's just face that. It wasn't going to win Wednesday nights. Maybe tonight may be a higher number. But AEW has all kind of shit planned. Shaq's going to be on there tonight. You know? So you don't know what's going to come out of this. I think in the long run, NXT will benefit moving to Tuesday nights. It really will. And you'll get to see the full scope of how both shows impact each other. You know what I'm saying? Because it was creating a divide. It really was creating a divide amongst wrestling fans. And the thing that stood out for AEW was that they were doing picture-in-picture during commercials because they had those rights. And you could still see the wrestling through the commercial. Now I didn't have to flip channels to see what NXT was doing. I could just watch AEW. You know what I'm saying? The whole run. That was killing them for a while, the picture-in-picture. And now with the crowd starting to emerge and come back, because Florida is kind of open. I won't get into the politics behind that one, but Florida is kind of open. They are allowing more fans into the venues. The crowd was definitely starting to play a bigger factor because the crowd can get involved in the shows. And that wasn't good news for NXT. It really wasn't. Now, after WrestleMania and them moving to Tuesday nights, now we got a conversation we can have. We got a really good conversation we can have. And we can have an intelligent one behind this one. So, I'm pumped for it. I'm happy that they're doing it. I think the average wrestling fan should be happy that they're doing this because it's really deserving for them to have their own night and let AEW continue to take Wednesdays because they was taking that shit anyway. And that's my thoughts on it. But anyway, let's take a break and I'll get into the final segment of today's show. We'll be back here on Wrestling With My Thoughts.
What's good, people? It's the homie Mac, aka your boy, and hello, everybody. Turn this down a bit. Alright, there we go, that's better. Yo, so y'all caught me in the middle listening to one of the many Dat Feelin exclusives available only to Bandcamp subscribers. To get this track, along with the others, go to www.datfeelin.bandcamp.com and sign up for only $3 a month. Not only are there bonus tracks, but full albums that haven't been released to the general public, and new music being added regularly. So head over to www.datfeelin.bandcamp.com now and do what you gotta do to hear some dope music. Alright, I'm done with y'all. Back to my vibe.
All right. Welcome back to Wrestling with My Thoughts here on the DFPN. And in this last segment, I won't take too long on this one. I just want to cover it really quickly. But the WWE Network has announced that they will be moving to Peacock. And if you don't know what Peacock is the NBC app that shows a lot of shows on the NBC network. Some of them are exclusive to that app, and the WWE has partnered with them to have the WWE content, the network as a whole, move over to the Peacock app. And I'm not sure how this is all going to play out. The logistics of it seem really kind of murky right now, but Peacock is actually a good app. I subscribed to it for one of the dumbest fucking reasons ever, but I wanted to watch Saved by the Bell reunion, so I subscribed to this app. So I already have it. They do put shows like Young Rock, which if you haven't watched Young Rock, I highly advise you to watch this show. It is very, very good, especially if you're a wrestling fan. It's full of nostalgia. It goes over The Rock, and I guess the premise of it is that he's running for president, right? So they go over his life in detail, and a lot of those things like you just didn't see. And they keep a lot of kayfabe actually in this show. Like the bad guys hanging out with the bad guys. Rocky Johnson didn't really hang out around the Wild Samoans because he was a good guy. And Uncle Sheik, which the Iron Sheik used to babysit him. Andre the Giant's in there. Junkyard Dog's in there. Like there's a whole bunch of appearances. Macho Man made an appearance in here, and it is a very, very good show, and it's on the Peacock app, which I'm very glad I have now, so I get to go back and watch it, and it's a great show. So is the stuff they're trying to do with it. Now with them acquiring the WWE Network, I am more so concerned about how they're going to handle these licensing issues that the WWE had. Did they sell that off to NBC? And is NBC going to be able to air what is on the WWE Network on that app? Because there's a lot of great old school content that the WWE had rights to. Like the WCW stuff. Is it going to be on there? Maybe, because the WWE owns it. Did they sell those rights to NBC? And if they did, this could create something very, very interesting. NBC can decide to drop a lot of this content. And a lot of this content is a lot of stuff that Cody Rhodes has actually been looking for. Like, if WCW's rights are now with NBC, and NBC someday says, we don't need that, those copyright issues could be picked up. You know what I'm saying? They could very well be picked up. And it's just now all out in the open. Some of the WCCW stuff, the Mid-South stuff, you know what I mean? They could drop a lot of this stuff, and it's just free. It's just free to get. You know what I'm saying? You can file a copyright claim for it. So that's what I'm more concerned with on this element. Now, it's going to be interesting come WrestleMania time if that's even going to be on the network. Are they going to keep that on the network, or is this now going to be a pay-per-view? Because a lot of people are paying for the network just so they can get the pay-per-views for free. I'm one of them. I like to watch the pay-per-views and review them, and I can just watch them. I'm paying $9.99 for the network, you know what I mean? But I can watch the pay-per-views for free. Now, is that going to go away? Is the question. A lot of those questions haven't been answered. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of wrestling fans, rightfully so, aren't happy with this move because the network was there for them. And if you're a true wrestling fan, like you like to go back in moments of time and watch the things that brought you to where you are in your fandom. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this and how they go along with it. But I'm not sure if I'm excited about that move or not. I know Peacock is a good app. I know that. But I don't know how to feel about this one. I really don't. So if you're listening to this podcast, do me a favor, start a discussion by going to the Wrestling With My Thoughts podcast fan group on Facebook. Join it. It's free to join. You don't have to do anything. Just go join, start the discussion. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Let's talk about what this means going forward. Because there's a lot of good stuff on the network. There's a lot of great stuff on the network. And then there's some, this shit is kind of kooky. But overall, all that stuff is going to be moving to the Peacock app. And do you plan to stick around? I'm willing to give it a shot. But are you willing to give it a shot? So let me know that. Go join Wrestling With My Thoughts podcast fan group on Facebook. And let's have that discussion. All right. Till then, man, I am going to continue to enjoy the rest of my birthday week. Shout out to the homie Casey Pikett for turning 40 today. That is a brother of mine. Our birthdays are one day apart. So shout out to you. Shout out to everybody born in March. Y'all, you guys are awesome. March is one of the best. Well, it is the best month of the year to me because I was born there. You know what I mean? But this has been the show, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Wrestling With My Thoughts here on the DFPN. I am your host, Bred Like a King, made as Kelvin Catley, otherwise known as Blak Makk. You guys have an awesome day. Tune in to AEW Dynamite tonight and NXT. And again, let's have this discussion in the fan group. You guys have a wonderful day. Peace. This is Wrestling With My Thoughts.